Hello, this is When Rom Met Com, the podcast where we break down what makes a date movie a great movie. We're currently working our way through Vanity Fair's list of the 42 best romantic comedies of all time to see if they had us at hello or were a big mistake, huge. I'm Nora. I'm here with my co-host Jack, a guest yet to be introduced, and today we are discussing number 37, Kissing Jessica Stein.
This is our first episode we're recording since our podcast went live.
Woo!
By the way, our guest can talk on mic if they want.
Well, someone said yet to be introduced, so I was like, okay, I'll just stay on the rooftops of this podcast and just wait until Batman is signaled or whatever.
Like, people will be listening, like, who's that mystery voice?
Yeah, it's, I'm watching over the city, waiting for my time to shine.
But yeah, our first episode launched this week. I'm excited. People seem to like it.
Don't jinx it.
All right. People don't seem to like it. Introduce our guest now.
Yeah. Jen Coles is an actor, improviser, and tabletop RPG player. I know Jen because we met in drama school. We are very happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm ecstatic.
Sound ecstatic.
I'm ecstatic!
Good job taking that note.
Thank you.
Jen, first question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your relationship to romcoms?
Very different now from when I was younger. So I watched a lot when I was growing up. We did My Best Friend's Wedding, Notting Hill. We did the whole Julia Roberts archives, especially considering what we're going to talk about now. Kind of have to ask myself why I specifically watched a lot of female-led films. Oh, interesting. Like, why did I watch, not that Bring It On is really a romantic comedy, but like, why did I watch Bring It On a lot? Or like the episode you did about the...
But I'm a cheerleader.
But I'm a cheerleader, thank you. I watched that and had very different feelings about it than I did other rom-com films, because I watched a lot of like straight rom-coms when I was growing up, because that's kind of what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm kind of searching for more queer experiences to watch that don't necessarily involve trauma or anything like that. Happy stories.
Which is actually quite fascinating to today's movie, because I do think that there are a lot more sort of queer experiences that can be found in cinema today. But this is one of the earlier examples of a mainstream-ish queer rom-com.
I think it's interesting what you said about that's what I knew. It's not just that that's what you knew, it's that that's what there was.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what was available.
Yeah, I grew up in Australia, and obviously what was in magazines or magazines about the films that were being released was like, let's do a quiz on how you get a boyfriend. All the data that was released was about straight couples.
You mentioned to me that you were currently on the hunt for good lesbian rom-coms. And I was like, I happen to have a list of the best rom-coms of all time.
Yep.
And
several of which are lesbian-focused.
two?
That's several.
Two is several.
It's more than one.
It's a work in progress.
The Wedding Banquet is not exclusively lesbian-focused, but it is lesbian-focused.
That's true.
That's 2.5.
Yeah, there we go. Well
Several.
done. But yeah, so something to clarify is that none of us had seen this film before.
Correct.
I knew it existed. There was a weird running gag between me and my first housemate at uni in which we wanted to get like just a really weird film poster for a film we'd never seen to just hang in our kitchen. And my suggestion kept being like, we should just get the poster for Kissing Jessica Stein. I just thought it was a funny idea that just two guys have just the poster for Kissing Jessica Stein in their kitchen. And people would come over and ask, oh, what's that? And we're like, we don't really know. It's a movie I mostly remember as like my parents and my parents' friends talking about wanting to rent it. It was a movie that existed within the adult zeitgeist while I was like 12.
The zeitgeist.
The adult zeitgeist.
This is something that I have heard of, but I have never actually engaged with ever. But then I mentioned to someone that I knew that I was watching a film about someone who discovers their sexuality or explores a bit later in life. And she was instantly like, is it Kissing Jessica Stein? I mean, of course it's widely known, but yeah, no, I just hadn't engaged with it at all.
It's mostly widely known in my student kitchen.
Yes, the reason why lesbians and queer people are aware of the film Kissing Jessica Stein is because it exists in two men's kitchens.
See, this
Congratulations,
bit,
you're an ally.
is working.
I also had never heard of it, but when I started doing a bit of research after watching it, there were all these sort of think pieces and blogs, and people are really engaging with it. People are talking about it. It had just completely passed me by.
It's a title that stays with me. It is a good title. All jokes aside, it's a nice poster.
It is a nice poster. I think the film had a different title originally, but it was also based on a play.
Yes, it's a scene from an off-Broadway play.
But the name of that play,
Lipstick.
which I think is a great title.
It is a great title.
It is. But also, released a movie called Lipstick in, 2002. I don't think you get the same broad appeal as releasing a movie called Kissing Jessica Stein. Lipstick feels very much like, we know who we're talking to, and it is the sort of artsy New York crowd, which is completely fine.
But Kissing Jessica Stein, you could have that come out in any town USA, and the people will go.
It's also a little bit clearer what it's about.
Yeah, Kissing Jessica Stein.
Funny you should say that. Yes.
People were playing the long game. If you wanted to actually get something released and have a certain amount of media popularity, you had to be careful about how you marketed it, which sucks, but we're getting there now, slowly.
I'm going to give you guys some stats. So this is directed by Charles Herman-Wurmfeld, which, off the back of this, he gets Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde.
Jen's making a face. Are you unfamiliar?
No, I know it. I was just like, how did we get there?
I think it's very much like, he directed a rom-com.
He can direct another rom-com.
Though, arguably, is Legally Blonde a rom-com? We'll get to it one day.
One day.
After Legally Blonde 2, he directed the 2007 comedy film The Hammer, starring Heather Jurgensen. Funnily enough, Heather Jurgensen is one of the stars of this film.
And one of the writers.
And one of the writers, as well as Jennifer Westfeldt, based, as we've already discussed, off their scene from an off-Broadway play, Lipstick. It also stars Scott Cohen, Jackie Hoffman, and Tovah Feldshuh. It's another one of those tricky films that came out at a film festival in 2001, but actually was released on the 13th of March 2002. Had a budget of $1 million and domestically made $7.5 million for an extra $2.5 million worldwide. So a solid 10-time multiplier on its budget. And it's got a Rotten Tomato score of 83%.
Wow, that's high.
That's our highest so far. IMDb describes this as, a woman searching for the perfect man instead discovers the perfect woman.
Herself.
Which may be actually accurate for this movie.
Should we see what Vanity Fair had to say about this? Romantic comedies have traditionally been tough territory for queer characters who tend to fall into simplistic, stereotypical best friend roles when they're allowed to join the party at all. We can never forgive the Sex and the City movies for what they did to Stanford and Anthony. Enter Kissing Jessica Stein, which even 16 years later remains one of the few mainstream, widely distributed romantic comedies to focus on same-sex attraction, and between queer women, no less, who are even tougher to find in these sort of movies than queer men. Even discounting its milestone elements, the film does an admirable job of balancing rom-com cliches, the overbearing Jewish mother, the heroine with a job in New York media, with more offbeat flourishes, making it an Annie Hall descendant tailor-made for a new millennium.
As someone who has seen the first but not the second, does anyone know what the Sex and the City movies did to Stanford and Anthony?
No.
What a mystery. What do we think, just off that?
I believe there was a lot of comments about the actual treatment of queer relationships, but I could be wrong.
Was it just that it was very stereotypical?
I'm going to go with I don't know.
Yeah. If anyone knows, please write in and tell us.
Yeah, we won't watch the movies.
No.
Or Google the answer.
No.
Despite it being widely available.
Though, I imagine many years down the line on this podcast, episode 462, we will cover the first Sex and the City movie.
Surely by 462, you're on like Star Wars or something like that. Surely you've like run out of rom-coms.
You'd be surprised.
We've got 3
Rom-coms.
episodes to do on the My Big Fat Greek Wedding series.
Yeah, and then you've got like Netflix and then like streaming service specific. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
We've got to cover all the Hallmark rom-coms.
Yeah.
Foreign language films.
Silent movies.
We could do this forever.
Who wants to jump in with initial thoughts on Kissing Jessica Stein?
I love that you both looked at me. Okay.
I looked at Nora first, who then looked at you, but you were looking down and then looked up and saw we were both looking at you.
One thing I really liked about this movie is I didn't see it necessarily so much as what I associated with being a romantic comedy. I saw a film that didn't necessarily push plot forward every 5 seconds. I saw a very natural progression of a relationship, a presentation of this person figuring out their life. And the thing that had the profoundest effect on me personally was as someone who's currently trying to reconcile their queer identity for themselves, it made me consider how that's going to affect the other people who I potentially have relationships with. Because a lot of the film is focused on Jessica's own internal neuroses and how that affects Helen. The strongest scenes in the film for me were when she was arguing with Helen, who wants to celebrate this relationship and wants to celebrate the two of them. And then I kind of went, oh shit, I don't want that to be me. I don't want to sabotage something that's great because I haven't worked through my own issues.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm hit hard.
I feel like I need to say something equally beautiful and moving in response to that. And most of the notes I got are like, I love Tovah Feldshuh.
That's a lot of my notes as well. Well, I'm gonna say that this film is a bit of a landmark for us because this is our first New York set rom-com.
Wow.
Which feels kind of crazy that we've done 5 and none have even come close.
Has nobody been a journalist yet?
There's a journalist character in Red, White, and Royal Blue, but
the couple.
Yeah, I was just trying to remember what Sydney Sweeney does in Anyone But You, and she is a lawyer. Well,
she is a law school dropout.
Yes,
Yeah, I feel like rom-coms all have very specific job lists that you can pull from.
Yes.
Journalist and art gallery employee is
They are the 2 biggest ones.
Yeah.
And I think this is the first appearance of them on our list. Woo!
Yeah.
We should have some kind of sound effect that we play for that. Ding!
Yeah.
I mean, no one knows what Graham grew up to do in But I'm a Cheerleader, but I can imagine she's definitely in the art gallery scene. My first note on this, at least my first note that is plot relevant, is that the dating scenes early on gave me PTSD.
In the beginning, it kind of implies that, well, you know how when Harry Met Sally very much focuses on Meg Ryan's character being high maintenance and this kind of ridiculous idea that...
A flibbity-gibbet.
Yeah, women who have standards or specific way they like things are viewed in a certain way. It's very much set up that Jessica Stein is completely ridiculous for not liking any of these crazy men that she's dating. But then at the end, it's like, well, they come round and say, well, no, it's about finding actually the person that you like. But that whole dating thing, I was like, physically grossed out by that whole section of just endless men who wouldn't shut up or were saying weird things or just making her uncomfortable.
Well, I have a question for you guys. If you had to date one of the guys from the montage, who would it be? The guy who keeps getting words wrong?
No.
The overly sexual guy? The accountant? Or the queer-coded guy?
I might take words wrong guy because he seemed really nice and he did say tarbender instead of bartender.
No, that's not that is the overly sexual guy. He says tarbender because I thought that the whole thing was just going to be guys getting words wrong. The guy who gets words wrong starts off with releases the endorphins,
narcissistic,
and then it cuts to the other guy who's like tarbender, the lady will have.
Oh, right.
And then she's like, I will have a frozen margarita. And then he holds up a not frozen margarita. No, he holds up a glass of wine. And he's like, great minds think alike. And I was like, I don't even know what this is right here.
You're exactly on time.
She was an hour late.
What I don't understand is, are we supposed to think that she is unreasonable or not?
I don't think she's unreasonable.
Well, I don't think so either. Are we supposed to think that?
I don't think so. I think we're supposed to be on her side. I do think that this montage comes in so early that I don't really get an impression of who Jessica Stein is at that point. And I just felt like Jessica Stein is such a character who just is completely lost. She has no idea what she wants to be, who she is, how she's going to get there, which is 100% how people are in real life. But I found it very hard to watch this as a movie.
I would have liked to see it as a play. I kept thinking that throughout. It was so obviously supposed to be a play. The way the dialogue was written, everyone was a little too witty, a little too clever, a little too polished. The speech that Josh gives at the dinner where he tells her, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Everyone's so articulate.
I just don't like when people are like, she quoted Rilke, and Josh being like, oh, well, as Anise Nan once said. And I'm just like, oh.
Everyone's so well read.
It's very, again, early 2000s New York art scene.
Yes.
I mean, I get it. For me, I was watching it going, this person is so led by their mind that they're not actually feeling anything in their body. And that's what I guess Helen is spending most of the film trying to get her to consider, because she's so focused on making sure that she has understood anything that she's missing out on a lot of the experiences that will actually make her feel. Like she says, as long as I'm moving, I'm safe. You don't actually ever really see the character settle or land.
I agree in that sense. And my favorite parts of the movie are when Helen and Jessica are together. At about 30 minutes in, you get to this sort of like how to be a lesbian 101 course.
The pamphlet.
But I thought that was a really like sort of fun like look into this sort of like for a character like Jessica Stein to go through, as well as what Helen gets out of it in the idea of who do you call when you're sick, and when she finally has someone to call when she's sick. That like warmed my heart so fucking much. I was really into it then, and I thought this is moving into, you know, a really good place for me, and it moves away from it, which kind of drives me nuts.
I just want to say the name of the pamphlet is Lesbian Sex, Hot, Safe, and Sane.
Well, yeah, just the idea that you could, like, I have read for sex, I have been to sex school, I now know lesbian sex, rather than actually letting herself experience what that feels like.
I also like that she assumes everyone else approaches it the same way.
Yeah.
She goes, yes, I've got this pamphlet. Do you know it? Helen's like, no, but please share. I'd love to see it.
The shot of Helen getting eaten out whilst thinking about Jessica is really great. It's one of my favorite shots, I think, in any film we've had so far.
It was the legs.
It's the legs.
It was the legs. So much leg effort for...
It's the juxtaposition of the man's leg sticking out and kicking around, like paddling in a pool
and
or
her
something.
just sitting there, like, still.
Completely unresponsive. Like, if you just have a close-up of her face, you do not know what is happening.
Yeah.
Which we did have several times before we cut to the wide.
Yeah.
And it's a great cut to the wide. It's the kind of cut to the wide that makes you think this guy could direct Legally Blonde 2, Red, White and Blonde.
But then one of the most devastating burns of all time, which is, don't worry about it. And then that's it.
How do we feel about Jennifer Westfeldt and Heather Jorgensen in this movie? I think they're quite interesting leads, because obviously they wrote this movie together. Jennifer Westfeldt still writes and appears in stuff. She later on had the movie Friends with Kids, which she wrote and starred with Adam Scott and John Hamm and Kristen Wiig and various others. So like she's still in the scene.
I recognized Jennifer Westfeldt from a recurring guest spot on Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, interesting. I know her best as Ryan Reynolds' girlfriend in the first season of Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
But in terms of the two of them, I thought their relationship was very subtle. It was a very slow burn. It was all about like the very quiet conversations that then lead to the bigger ones. Like their lipstick conversation in the taxi was so gay.
That was one of the sexiest things I have ever witnessed.
Which I believe they filmed in an actual taxi. Like they just got into a taxi with their film equipment and just filmed it.
Great.
Which is great. Great guerrilla filmmaking right there. Again, the kind of filmmaking that makes you think this guy could make Legally Blonde 2, Red, White and Blonde.
That is exactly what I thought. So Helen is dating 3 men who she has for different purposes. One when she's hungry, one when she's bored, one when she's horny. She also blends 3 lipsticks.
Yep.
And Jessica responds to this description of the lipsticks with, I'm kind of looking for that one. And Helen says, you'll never find it. I'm telling you, blend.
Metaphor.
There are some really good lines in this when they first kiss or are about to kiss. Is this with tongue? I think we should just play it by ear. Who do you have to blow to get some pussy around here?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent one-liner.
Yep.
I also love the delivery on, what do you do to be happy? And Jessica says, nothing, I'm not.
That's one of my favorite lines.
Mm-hmm.
There's another line I really like. Oh, you're a terrible liar. It's one of your best qualities. Which is such a fucking thing you would say, Nora.
I wrote down a list of the things she lies about, and they are all so funny.
Yeah. It's like strong. Well done. Good cover.
My note before that, you're a terrible liar line was, Jessica's such a terrible liar. And then they called it out. And I was like, oh, good.
I can't come to dinner because we got house seats to Cabaret. Terrible lie.
Yeah.
I think that's one of her, like, okay at lies.
You have to give something that she can't bat away or refute.
Also, isn't the point of a lie that it doesn't have that much detail because then it's obviously a lie?
I also love how in the know her mother is on Cabaret after it. He's like, the lead has been out all week with vocal notes, so you don't want to see it this week anyway.
They're at the fruit stand, and their friend runs into them. She goes, well, we're buying brownies because I promised we'd make brownies for the underprivileged children, and she's just holding fruit.
Can we also just talk about that specific bit where she says, why don't you ever make noise when we have sex? And then it cuts to a shot of a cat.
Biggest laugh I had in the movie.
Yeah, I was like, are we doing this intentionally? Because we all know that there are other nicknames for cats. And then the cat perks up a little bit.
The cat does a double take.
The cat goes,
That went completely over my head.
Yeah, it cuts to a cat. She goes, why don't we ever make noise
It's
when you're
like
having
a
sex? And
close-up
then
of
it's
the cat who just, they're talking about sex, and the idea is that they're talking about sex in a public place,
Yeah.
which is probably Jessica's worst nightmare.
And she does freak out, to be fair.
She does.
Yeah.
But the only person who overhears is
this cat.
this cat, which could be referred to by another word.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was watching this with a cat right by me, who also looked up right then.
Probably because there was a cat on screen. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I haven't talked about sex in front of this cat yet, so I don't know how attuned he is to it.
Report back.
I will. Actually, whilst You're a Terrible Liar is one of my favorite lines, my absolute all-time favorite line, the bit that did make me cry, I think she's a very nice girl.
Yeah.
Oh, same.
Yep. Yeah.
Tovah Feldshuh was recently in Nobody Wants This,
Yeah.
which is the Netflix show with Adam Brody and Kristen Bell, which is a similar role that she plays in this, only she is the straight-up villain in that show. Whereas in this, she's playing a sort of similar stereotype in that she's overly involved in her daughter's life, but she loves her so much and just wants her to be happy. And I was primed for that Nobody Wants This version.
I'm just kind of shocked you didn't reference Crazy Ex-Girlfriend as well.
I was about to. Give me time.
Oh my gosh. I just know you and know what you like to reference.
It's a bit more stark and Nobody Wants This,
Yeah.
but she does play a similar role in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
If you're casting a Jewish mom, who are you going to get?
Yeah, why
Who are you
wouldn't
going
you
to
get?
call?
Yeah.
One thing I really like about that scene is they don't cut it the whole time. They just let her do that really nice monologue. They don't cut away. They don't zoom in too far. They just let it sit.
Theater.
Apart from that one shot where they cut to the cat who just goes...
Right, yeah.
The heartfelt scene on the porch and the sex cat. Just
the sex
pops
cat
up.
is just like,
Yeah.
I think she's a very nice girl.
Yeah.
Meow. Jessica says in that scene, I'm afraid I'll be alone forever, which is mirroring what her mother says in the opening.
Mm-hmm.
It is really nicely written. I know you just said that you found like a lot of it feels like theatre. I never actually got that quality, and I get that with so many films based on plays. I do think it's one of the better adaptations. Makes use of its like ability to go from location to location and its ability to edit to shots of cats. I think filmically it comes across quite nicely.
Yeah, it's not a criticism that I say it feels like a play.
You
I
like plays.
I like plays.
So do
Yeah.
I.
Yeah, I think it's also because like there's very little unnatural chaos. It's just like very focused on real world stakes. One of the bits that really got me is when she's talking to her friend and she says over and over again, like, it's all wrong, it's all wrong, it's all wrong. And just having that grounded in full on naturalism and not kind of shenanigans, I think is part of the reason why, because it's so grounded as a film. And also, I'm not ready to deal with the complexities of this relationship, which is what she says outside the wedding shop. So like all very natural lines with kind of very hidden emotional truth.
I also like that she says, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and then goes on to describe every way that it is exactly right.
Yeah.
To the point that her friend Joan says, you really need to put a stop to this.
Yeah.
I really hate the friends in this movie. I hate the scene where Helen's gay friend is just like calling her out for not being a real lesbian. Then like Joan, when she finds out about Helen, she's like, lesbians! Ah!
It's weird because this film doesn't actually focus a lot on what labels are on the people in the film. Apart from that one point when she goes, lesbians! No one actually ever really refers to Helen as being a bisexual or a pansexual.
Very 2002 in that sense.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice in a way because no one labels Jessica at all. Because in a way, it doesn't matter because she learns that it's more, for her, it's more about the people rather than it is what she identifies as. Something that someone said to me recently is, don't focus so much on labeling yourself, just discover who you are.
I mean,
She's
got the really lovely line, I don't think there is one person for everyone.
I think there's like 7.
Yeah.
Blend those lipsticks.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like the idea. It's like, there's still a number. So, there's a max you can get to.
Also saying that at someone's wedding when they have just married one person is wild.
I think the criticism of, you can't just turn lesbian, this isn't something you can just try on and see if it fits. Why not?
I get where, the argument is coming from, but I also understand that it's not as simple as that. Because, as Jen brought up earlier, we are brought up in this world where we are informed by romantic comedies, by media, that there is, man and woman, and that's how it goes. Helen is getting to the point in her life that's not working for her. She needs something more. We see her, being with all these guys earlier on, and now she is moving on to trying something else because clearly something isn't working.
Well, the idea of you can't just turn lesbian is interesting to me because who says you're turning? Maybe you're discovering. Maybe sexuality is inherently fluid.
Yeah, I got really angry in that scene.
Me too.
And I didn't really understand why they included it, to be honest.
So you shouldn't force people to identify a certain way just because you do. And whatever someone says that they are at any given moment is what they are. And if you are telling someone that they need to fit in a certain box just because you do, you're projecting your own issues onto them. It's making it harder for them to experience their own truth.
I actually really like what the one friend said about straight girl, gay girl, who cares, an orgasm's an orgasm.
It's interesting that they refer to her as that because she identifies in the film that she enjoys the sex and she enjoys the relationship. And you see how devastated she is when it ends and she's desperately trying to rationalize it. So you could argue that she's not straight. So calling her a straight girl is also incorrect because that's not how she's currently identifying.
We don't know how she's identifying.
Exactly.
Which I love.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the point. The point is, as I said, that she's discovering who she is. I think if I had to guess, those two characters are kind of there to push conflict on Helen, I would argue somewhat unnecessarily. Helen wanted a certain commitment out of that relationship that she wasn't getting with Jessica. And that's the actual crux of what the conflict is.
There was enough conflict without bringing all that weirdness in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they start out as two ostensibly straight girls who decide they want to try this for different reasons. Helen wants to try sex with a woman. Jessica wants to find love. She wants to find something. She answers that ad for a reason. And they leave it with sort of different results. Helen stops seeing men and presumably identifies as a lesbian, although that's never said. Whereas Jessica, it is implied, goes back to exclusively being with men.
Well, she has the line, which I didn't entirely agree with, where she was saying that I think Helen just wants to be with someone a little more gay. I don't think it was the level of gay you were. I think it was more that you weren't interested in having sex with her.
Well, it depends if that's a sex drive issue or if that's a sex with women issue.
Yeah, I mean, well, Helen says early in the film on their first date, I've been with both.
I think she's lying there.
Do you?
Because she's sort of portraying this kind of woman of the world persona in that moment.
I don't think she is lying. And the reason I don't think she is lying is because of how she treats Jessica when they eventually do get to the date portion of what is not the date. The way she's looking at her is very considered and aware. And when they have the whole discussion about well, how can you know if you like something if you haven't tried it? That confidence, I don't think, would come necessarily potentially from someone who hasn't had that much experience.
I agree, except that I think she's confident about everything.
But I do feel like she is the kind of girl who experimented in college.
She explicitly says sleeping with a woman is the one thing she's never done. So whether she does it in between placing the ad and meeting Jessica is the mystery here. And I say she hasn't. Jen says she has. What do you think?
I think that
Come
I
on,
don't
you're an
know.
expert. You've got a poster of kissing Jessica Stein in your kitchen.
Come on, you're the authority on this film.
Yeah.
Keep up.
Yeah.
It was in the zeitgeist as I was growing up.
I think she's lying because I think she meets Jessica. She's instantly very smitten with her. And if there were all these other women on the go, she would not be so frustrated about the fact she can't sleep with Jessica. She'd go sleep with them.
And to be fair, you don't actually need to have experience to be confident.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm very confident and I have no experience.
Of anything?
Of anything.
I have a thought.
Mm-hmm.
The scene in the bar where the two men come over and Helen is asking them, what do you think is sexy about women together?
One of the best scenes in the movie.
Discuss.
This does feel like a scene from a play. Especially because the two actors who are playing the straight guys are just like, hey, yo, I'm the most straight man who's ever been alive. Hey, hey, you're a pretty woman. We're going to get you a drink. And we like women who kiss each other. And that's just fun to watch in general because it's insane. But one of the best scenes because I love how Helen takes control in that scene. I kind of wish it went on for longer because I kind of wanted like more of the like playing these two assholes because I thought that was a really fun it was a fun game. It's a good sort of look at Helen and Jessica's relationship and how Helen wants to kind of push things forward. Yeah, I don't love obviously the implication of hey yo, we're gonna get you ladies a drink because you're beautiful. But I do I enjoy them playing these boys. It's a con. I love cons.
Jen, what did you make of that scene?
Well, let's talk about the absolute fabulous line, which is, I'm worried about Jessica's leg and I need to get her into bed. To be honest, I was just kind of Helen's perspective of that moment was, how can I use this to my advantage? Because she sits them down, she instantly changes the subject to make a point, cultivates desire, and then gets out early.
Boom.
So efficient. I mean, the fact that she does that, I think she's aware that they're probably not going to go away and then actually manages to de-escalate a situation. So her brain kind of went, okay, how can I spin this to illustrate that it's a perfectly normal thing and have subtext to a conversation that wouldn't necessarily have had subtext prior to it.
I thought you were going to say, I did not like this film as fetishizing women together or using them to appeal to the male gaze, which we can all agree that that's generally not a thing we want to do.
No. Correct.
And so I spent ages sort of thinking about, why is it not that? Because I don't think it is that. Obviously, Helen is doing it, and she has zero interest in those men. This isn't two 18-year-old girls at a college party kissing so the boy they like will notice. I think what Helen is doing is she is meeting Jessica where she is, and where Jessica is smack in the middle of the patriarchy.
Yeah.
So I bet, well, if you remember in the first scene where they kiss, and they're talking about sex and pulling out the pamphlets, Jessica says, what would we do? And Helen's probably said to her 1,000 times, it doesn't matter what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But she knows that Jessica is accustomed to viewing herself and her sexuality through this lens of the patriarchy and the male gaze. What do men like? What do men want? And she doesn't know how to consider it through a lens of what do women like? What do women want? Or even what do I like? What do I want? And so Helen is like, all right, I'm going to meet you there and bring you to where I want you to go.
That is what compulsory heterosexuality is. It is the idea that we, as lesbians, bisexuals, queer women, queer people, don't know they're queer or gay because the whole frame of society is geared towards male validation and what men want. So, yeah, of course, she doesn't know because how can you know if you don't have anything to base it off? But yeah, to your point, that moment in the film does not exist for the male gaze for any reason.
In part of the montage of them being happy together when they're going on a run, and Helen is like, oh, I can't run. I'm pretty sure they run past those two guys.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
I'm a little bit face blind. I was like, those look like the same guys. Maybe I'm wrong.
I got that as well because at first I thought it was the gay guys.
Oh, yeah. All white men do look the same.
They do. They do. Which is why I am terrible when I'm looking in a mirror because I just think it's my friend.
I never
the one
recognize
you had the poster with?
It was just me.
Oh
it was
God.
just me in a mirror. And a poster of kissing Jessica Stein.
Other things that are funny. I loved the relatives questioning Helen at the wedding.
Yeah, that's good.
They are totally cool with the fact that she's a woman, but they're going to ask invasive questions about artificial insemination.
That's kind of crazy again when you think about how the scene with their friends is played. Everyone at that wedding is so happy about it. And her mum is so accepting of it, who you think is going to be the least one. And instead, you've got her pregnant friend yelling, lesbians!
I loved Joan.
I mean, I love Jackie Hoffman in general. Saw her on Broadway, I did. The Addams Family playing the grandma.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of grandmas,
Oh.
one of my favorite things is that her grandma criticizes everyone that she is with, but it's equal. She doesn't care if she's criticizing a man or a woman. She says, oh, Larry had no sex appeal. And then she sees Helen and she goes, she's flat-chested.
Did you see who
loved
played
that.
the grandma?
No.
The grandma of the director of Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Royal Blonde.
Is it Red, White, and Royal? Oh, Freudian slip.
Wow. Imagine making the same joke 6 times and you muck it up on the 6th time.
I couldn't possibly imagine that.
It's a little free promo for our episode on Red, White, and Royal Blue.
And our upcoming bonus episode on Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. It's interesting. I do think the film is funny, but one thing that made me laugh, but unintentionally, was the amount of times they used the card 3 months later.
The jumps, I think, actually really slowed the film down narratively towards the end. I mean, I know the point was to show you that she'd come to some kind of resolution with herself.
I agree. But now we have brought up the end, because there's an element of this film we haven't really discussed at all, and that is its male lead.
Josh.
I wrote down, I hate Josh.
I wrote down,
I
wrote down, I hate Josh!
I hate Josh. Sorry.
And I wrote down, I'm going to be so annoyed if there's going to be a scene where she has to pick between Josh and Helen. And there isn't, because it's an even worse
Well,
scene.
there is, and she picks Helen
True.
at the wedding.
In that scene, Josh doesn't even seem like a choice.
Although they clearly set up from the beginning that there is something between them. Like, that is there the whole time. She's sort of very analytical all the time, right? But with him, she's very, very passionate. I'm not saying that she should end up with him. I'm just pointing out what the movie is telling us. You're giving me looks.
No, it's interesting because I felt like it was just animosity.
It's a fine line between love and hate.
I don't know. Like when Jaren invites him to dinner, which I was like, why did Jaren invite him to dinner? When she finds that out, she's like, ew.
The lady doth protest too much.
See, I have a completely different take on that. I found him to be very unnecessarily antagonistic towards her for most of the film.
Same.
And the fact that when they are at dinner, he says, I think the problem is you. The conversation they have on the roof, it's supposed to be some kind of redemption monologue. He's supposed to say, I've learnt the error of my ways. I now understand that this is actually how I feel about you. But the monologue isn't written that way. He basically says, I started to write, and it was because I remembered that I like you. And that was the crux of the monologue, which to me is not enough to forgive him for all of the things he said to her prior. And then when they actually get to the end and she sees him again, he doesn't really say anything that's addressed any of his past behaviour. So even if you are attracted to someone who you've had a bit of a difficult relationship with, you still need to be able to have like an actual proper discourse with them where they address that they have been mean to you in the past. And I was like, at no point have you gone, that was kind of shit of me to say.
It's really, I found their relationship actually really strange. Like, he just seems really pissed off with her that she wasn't going to be an artist anymore. And she's kind of pissed off with him that he's not going to be a writer anymore. Nora is giving me, like, the weirdest look that she did not have the same reading.
I think he's pissed that she broke up with him 10 years ago.
I just found their relationship kind of unbearable. And the ending where Helen is excited on the phone that she's run into Josh and that, like, they might be getting together. I wanted to be sick. I hated that ending so much.
He's going to be the next Hemingway, and you know it because he's wearing a shirt with holes in it.
I got so annoyed when I saw that hole as well.
The point of that ending was to show that she's kind of addressed her own neuroses and has embraced more of life and is more open to human experiences. I think she could have just gone to brunch with Helen and that could have just been the ending. I didn't think we needed to have necessarily involved a man in it to show her growth.
Yeah, I also would have been happy with it being, I mean, the ending is pretty ambiguous, but also not. I think the implication is she ends up with Josh and goes back to men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's that ambiguous.
I would like it to be more ambiguous.
Yeah.
I loved her being like really close friends with Helen at the end. I thought that was lovely.
As do I. I kind of want to know if it was a studio note. I want to know if there was ever like a version of this script where it was more ambiguous. The way Josh talks to her at that dinner, I honestly don't think there's any like going back from that. I think it's supposed to be like Mr. Darcy-esque, but I found him really repellent in that moment. And the fact that none of her friends were like, Josh, lay off!
Yeah, you know, the call's coming from inside the house. Like, he's going after her for her own neuroses and not addressing his own, ever.
Boom.
Like,
tell him.
Yeah, and also, okay, my guy, if you think those men that she's talking about aren't an issue, you go date them and see if you have the same response.
Yeah, you see how you like your salad being, like, diced up by this accountant.
Yeah.
You had more arugula, which is one of the more expensive vegetables.
Yes.
Is that true in America? Because arugula is dead cheap over here.
Isn't it called rocket? Isn't that they're the
is.
same thing?
Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
Because I was just like, I could get like a bag of rocket for like £1.
If anyone
If that.
listening knows the price of arugula/rocket and its comparison to other salad fillings, please write in and tell us. Because we don't know how to use Google.
This is important information. If you know the prices of those leaves in correlation to the year 2001.
Yeah.
It's just really brave to be on a podcast that's dealing with things that are important, like queer issues and the prices of rocket. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh,
That's going on a t-shirt.
Jen, did you notice the blink and you miss it cameo from a certain Broadway star as a bridesmaid at the wedding?
No.
So the bridesmaid who runs up to Jessica and says, "Are you the lesbian?" Do you remember that?
That moment I remember, yes.
It's Idina Menzel.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
For those who don't know, that's Adele Dazeem.
I was so blown away with that line. That line made me absolutely howl. Like,
Me too. Are you the lesbian? And she's so excited. She's like, "Oh."
wow.
Which is funny, thinking of who she plays in Rent.
Good point. Are you the lesbian?
I've never seen
someone-
Nora more proud of me. Good point.
For those who don't know, Idina Menzel is the original Elphaba in Wicked. She was the original Maureen in Rent, Elsa in Frozen, and Frozen 2.
This is the first film we're going to discuss that features her.
Oh yeah, she's also in Enchanted,
Yeah.
which is later down on this list. Speaking of cameos, who was Michael Showalter in this?
That's a good question.
Because I couldn't figure it out.
No, nor could I.
Okay.
I just know he is in it. Which is interesting as well, because Michael Showalter goes on to direct The Idea of You, which is written by Jennifer Westfeldt.
Whoa! He also directs The Big Sick, right?
He does. He's a good director. He's an interesting guy. We'll talk more about him.
Should we move on to our would do, wouldn't do, have done?
Yeah.
Jen, what would you do?
I absolutely would run away from a date if I was freaked out. In fact, the way that she runs away, I was kind of like, yeah, that's probably something that I'd do.
That does feel very you.
Yeah.
Just panic.
I don't think I would ever respond to an ad in the paper because we've moved on from that and now people have dating apps. So
Yeah, I like that. It's like, I wouldn't live in 2001.
I would simply not date in the early 2000s. Speaking of dating profiles, I looked up what all of the acronyms meant.
Mhm.
Oh, fun.
UWS, Upper West Side. VGL, very good looking. NS, non-smoker. DWM, dating while married. And they specified looking for same. I'm so glad I looked this up because the only thing I could come up with just by reading it, I went NS, DWM, no sadism, down with masochism, looking for same. And I was like, you can't have the same. You kind of need one of each.
I like dating while married, looking for same.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, that's what Ashley Madison
It's
exists for. Yeah, anyway, so you would simply not date in 2001. We've covered that.
Yeah.
What have you done?
I don't want to think about how old I was in 2001. Have done. I've been to an art gallery.
And have you stared at a painting and have it make you realize that you want to be a writer? Except we never get to see this painting.
Show us the painting, you cowards.
Especially since we saw her artwork earlier. If we had never seen any of her artwork, sure, don't show us any of it.
I get that. I also like the fact that they didn't show it. If we want to get real metaphorical for a second, if her art is a true reflection of who she is, then it's kind of interesting that we don't see it.
You know what I think it is too? You wouldn't see it in the play.
I thought you were going to go budget cuts.
They would be staring out at the audience and talking about the painting and you would never see it. We famously worked on a musical together that ended in exactly that way.
Yeah.
Famously.
Famously. Well, famously to like the two people who are fans of us.
And the other dude that reviewed it.
Look, who are we to argue with the creative decisions of the director of Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde? Actual title. I want to say quickly, I've given that film a little bit of shtick this episode. I have like strong memories of like a core memory. That weekend, both Terminator 3 and Legally Blonde 2 came out. And the day before, me and all my friends went to see Terminator 3. Little 12-year-old Jack Gregson takes himself off to the cinema, sits in the smallest screen in Odeon, Richmond, and watches Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. Not, wasn't going to the Schwarzenegger Fest first. I was like, I gotta get this out of the way. I gotta see what Elle Woods is getting up to in Capital City.
It is about Elle Woods taking down cosmetic testing on animals.
It is. And Sally Field is the villain.
To be clear, this podcast is not in any way intended to be a criticism or disparagement of Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde.
It might be a little bit of a disparagement on the title.
How dare you?
The only thing I remember about that film is that there are gay dogs in it.
There are. And that's why he got the job.
And I think that says a lot about what I remember key moments from past movies.
The thing that I remember strongly about that movie is there is a dance sequence to do the dog catcher, and it's quite horrifying to watch. Like, it's a really weird scene that is kind of like burnt into my memory that I will play you later.
Jack.
Well, so let's start with my wouldn't do.
Okay.
I would not tell off my close friend for their sexual preferences.
Good.
Yeah, as soon as that scene happened, I was like, no, this shouldn't be happening. What have I done from this motion picture? I've definitely had a friend try to introduce me to someone who then is clearly already in a relationship that my friend didn't know about. What would I do? I would leave the house with my rollers in. And run back and take them up. It's so funny to me that this film was premiering the same year that Bridget Jones came out, because I do feel Jessica Stein is kind of US Bridget Jones coded.
I see that.
I don't know. I feel like I would be the same kind of asshole that Jessica Stein is.
I would live in a New York apartment with a glorious spiral staircase.
Oh my god, their apartments were so good, but why didn't Helen have a bed?
She doesn't have a bed, but more importantly, she doesn't have a lock on her door. Because after Greg comes in and busts up their attempted sex, she calls her landlord and goes, I need a lock.
And a bed.
Is that not for the hotel?
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that was when she was
hotel.
booking the hotel with Jessica.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because
No,
I was
because
like,
the
why
thing
did
is,
you...
Because she was like-
she answers the door. She opens the door and lets him in.
right.
And I wrote down, I was like, why the F would you answer the door? I was like, don't
Right, don't
when
answer the door.
If you're about to fuck somebody, you don't actually have to let somebody else in your apartment.
She's like, because on the phone, she's like, I want a bed and a bath and a lock on the door and a do not disturb sign. I was like, if you're going to a hotel where you do not have a bed and a lock and a do not disturb sign, like, maybe a bath you can ask for, but what sort of shitty hotel are you going to?
That makes so much more sense. I was like, why does your New York apartment not have a lock?
No, it does, because she lets him in.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that. I wouldn't tell a lie that is so ludicrous and so easy to fact check as her brother died at his wedding. I would lie better.
But you're such a bad liar, and that's my favorite quality about you.
So the have done, I have also been, and will continue to be, super pedantic about when fortune cookies give you advice or statements or whatever else, and not fortunes. Give me a fortune. Song.
The film opens with a song from Bye Bye Birdie.
Yeah.
Put on a happy face. The soundtrack is all sort of like repurposed standards. And none of them are bad, but none of them really, I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good use of that song in this movie.
It wasn't my aesthetic, generally.
Honestly, it's more my aesthetic than yours. The best use of it is the song where they're playing it on the record and it skips over saying woman and woman and...
It's an Ella Fitzgerald song. It's called Manhattan. And it's clearly setting up with the rhyme for it to say girl and boy. And the record skips and goes girl and girl and girl and girl and then pick.
And it skips over boy. It doesn't ever say boy. It's more of a nice remix than
Yes.
is an actual song.
The Put on a Happy Face is what's playing for your running back in for the Rollers moment.
It is.
And it's
Which
it's
also
a good
nicely
joke.
edited.
Yes, because the song ends, we think the scene is over, and then she runs back through her front door and the song sort of repeats the end, which I thought was very funny.
I need to just quickly look up who's singing it, because it's rude of me not to say.
As a chronic key forgetter, I really related to that moment.
I've seen you forgot your keys. I see you do that.
Yeah, every day. Every damn day.
Blossom Dearie is singing Put on a Happy Face.
Jen, best song.
For me, I chose I Wish You Love. They don't break up because they hate each other. They don't break up because trauma. They break up because they have slightly different approaches to what that relationship is, which is why I think that song is a nice summary of what their relationship ends up being.
That's so nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a really nice answer. I also do want to give a shout out to Bootalempa singing When the Special Girlfriend,
Oh, yeah.
which is, again, just nicely used within this film. You know, probably not the way the song was intended. Or maybe it was. I don't know. It's during their getting ready to go out on their date.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, cute.
Rom-com breakdown.
Rom-com breakdown.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
Romantic comedy breakdown.
So we rate the film in 3 categories on a scale from 1 to 5. Those categories are leads/chemistry, supporting characters, and story. And then we do something called the rom-com balance, where we each assign the film a quote-unquote score between 0 and 100, which is not an assessment of quality, just of genre. So 0 is all romance, no comedy, 100 is all comedy, no romance, and 50 is the perfectly balanced rom-com.
Jen, as our guest, would you like to go first?
I think it falls down slightly on chemistry because, as I said, I think the chemistry between them is very quiet. I think it's all done with kind of lingering looks and glances and is very slow. It's not like massive fireworks all the time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I also think they commit to their characters. I think they have a good balance in the relationship between each other because they are both essentially needing something from each other. So I'm going to give it a 4.
I also said 4.
Yeah.
I also said 4.
Supporting characters.
I hate Josh. I think this film suffers from too many people, not enough time. So there isn't a lot of development that is given to the supporting characters apart from her best friend and her pregnancy. So I'm going to go with like 2.5. But then again, I suppose it gets bumped up because her mum is fantastic. So I'm going to give it a 3.
I said 2, but 5 for Tovah Feldshuh specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I'm going to go with that exact scale.
I've kind of like landed in that same sort of world where I had a 2.5. It's like dragged down by how much I hate Josh and dragged up by how much I love Tovah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tovah's performance is beautiful.
Obviously, my least favorite scenes feature like characters yelling at their friends for being who they are, and I don't like those as side characters. Yeah, I like everybody at that wedding, but that wedding is but one scene. More Idina Menzel next time.
Yes, always.
I like brief appearance of John Hamm, and of course, I love, hey, you ladies are alone. Bada bing, bada boom.
We're on a New York vampires.
We're on our way to auditions for The Sopranos.
But also Dracula's Castle.
Whoa.
Story.
Again, I think they could have just committed to the one thing, and all of the external stuff kind of gets in the way. But the story itself of their relationship is really beautiful. So I'm going to give it a 3.
Same logic. I said 2.5.
Yeah, I'm at a 2.5. I actually kind of struggled to watch this movie. I watched it in 3 parts because I think really early on I was just like, I'm just not gelling with this. And about half an hour in where their relationship starts kicking off, I was like, oh yeah, now I'm into it. And then at the end, I was like, oh, it must be wrapping up now at the wedding because they're together and they're happy and things are going to be okay. And there was 20 minutes more leading to an ending I really didn't like.
So the rom-com balance.
It's not like a massive comedy. As I said, it's just kind of more a presentation of a series of events that happen in 2 people's lives, their relationship and how they're changed because of each other. It's not like, as I said, someone's not running to the airport. Like, the stakes are very real and very grounded. So I'm having trouble applying that to your scale.
I can tell you right now, this is my first 50. Not because I think it's incredibly comedic or incredibly romantic, but I do think the sort of amount of comedy and the amount of romance kind of like equal out. It might be like more like a 45 or a 55 in certain moments, but honestly, I think it just balances out in this one. So yeah, it's a 50 with reservations.
There was a moment where I almost went 50, and then I didn't, and I ended up on 15 and then bumped it up to 25.
It's a beautiful, like, mind merge. I was like, I'm almost 50 because I feel Jack's going for 50.
No, because I had the same thing where I sort of went, it isn't one or the other, but then it kind of, but then I landed on 25.
Nothing was too overpowering on either side, so I
I think
landed.
I wanted more of both.
Yeah, and that's why it's a 50. In fact, we've been saying like 50 is the perfect blend of romantic comedy. Actually, 50 is kind of just like it's the perfect blend of romantic comedy in that it leaves you kind of wanting more from everything.
I don't know. Well, let's wait until we have a 50 where we are raving about that combo and we'll see how they compare.
I do think this is a rom-com, like for sure. And I know we've had that conversation on different movies where like, is it quite a rom-com? And this is probably the one we've covered now where I'm 100% like, this is mostly a rom-com.
I like that you said 100% and then you qualified it right at the end.
Yes. Make fun of the boy who didn't pass his maths GCSE.
That's how I feel. I'm like, yeah, it's a rom-com mostly.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, the same. It is what it is. I'd argue the emphasis is on the romance slightly more than the comedy. But yeah, I think it's because it is so grounded in normal life. And that is why it is difficult to quantify.
We talked about this a bit on our But I'm a Cheerleader episode, other lesbian rom-coms or rom-coms with queer women. And we mentioned Bottoms and Shiva Baby. Are there any others on the table that we want to just throw in?
Happiest Season with Kristen Stewart.
There's one that's, the name is escaping me, but it stars Joan Chen, who is also in The Wedding Banquet. Saving Face.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen, but that's one of those ones that guts you.
Yeah, it's really good. And yeah, you sent me an article earlier, which I haven't checked out yet, but that Kissing Jessica Stein sort of led the way to Shiva Baby, which I think is actually a very interesting conversation. Perhaps not one we can have right now. Join us on socials for that conversation.
Jen, thank you so much. This has been a delight.
I've had a great time.
Thanks very much both for having me. Yeah, I've had a really good time.
Let's all get out of here and go watch Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. This has been When Rom Met Com. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at When Rom Met Com. There are links there to the Vanity Fair article, to our Letterboxd, and any other fun things that we've found and want to share. You can DM us or send us an email at mail@whenrommet.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the films, what rom-coms you think should have made the list, your best would-dos, wouldn't-dos, and have-dones, or anything else you'd like to hear about. If you've had a nice time today, please consider leaving us a review or following us wherever you get your podcasts. Next time, we'll be discussing number 36, Defending Your Life. Thanks for listening, and remember, we don't hate you, not even a little bit, not even at all. See you next time.